You're listening to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. I'm Allison Boyle, aka She Dreams of Alpine, and this is the show that's dedicated to all the adventurous spirits out there who have either been transformed by the outdoors or are interested in what it looks like to step into a new, adventurous, and courageous kind of identity in their life. It doesn't matter what your background is in the outdoors, what age you're starting at, or where you grew up. If you're curious about the outdoors and using adventure as a way to reinvent yourself, you're in the right place. I'll be sharing all kinds of personal adventure stories, lessons I've learned from the mountains, teaching what I know about the outdoors and leadership, and interviewing some amazing adventurous women all along the way. I've been coaching women on becoming safe, confident, and self-sufficient backpackers and leaders of their own adventurous lives since 2018, and I know exactly what big fears and self-doubts can pop up along the way. I have so much to share with you, so let's dive in. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. And today you are listening to episode 25. And today I'm doing something a little bit different than I've done in my past episodes. We are actually in the middle of enrollment for our Adventurous Reinvention Experience. This is one of our signature programs that we have here at She Dreams of Alpine. It's basically a program that blends personal growth and actually going on an in-person adventure together into like one powerful experience. So we work together in a 4-month kind of container where we do weekly coaching, and we spend the summer thinking about creating a life that makes you feel as alive as you do on the trail. And at the end of our time together, we bring it all to life with an epic in-person backpacking adventure. And today I'm actually bringing on one of our past Adventurous Reinvention Experience clients from one of our past trips. So we've been running this program for 2 years now. And today you're going to get to hear from my client Marta and kind of what brought her to the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, why she decided to join us on this, kind of what some of her biggest hesitations and challenges were when she was deciding to join us and also throughout the program, and also what her experience was like in the coaching, in the in-person adventure, and all of the things. So I hope you'll enjoy the conversation that I had with her today, and that if you are considering to join us in the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, that this will give you some clarity on whether this is the right program for you. If you are interested to learn more about the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, you can go to shedreamsofalpine.com/ARE. I will also drop that into the show notes. And yeah, let's just dive into today's episode. All right. Welcome, Marta. I'm so happy to have you here with us on the Adventurous Reinvention podcast. Thank you so much for being here and doing this interview with me.
Thanks for having me, Allison.
Absolutely. So I did a little bit of intro about kind of who you were and like how you joined us in the Adventurous Reinvention Experience. But like, let's talk a little bit about yourself and like what led you to joining us in last year's Adventurous Reinvention Experience. I remember that I got on a call with you last year, like to talk before you had decided to join. And you were telling me like one of the big sparks kind of that stirred you into like wanting to do something with us was you had just climbed Kilimanjaro, and that was like something that had really lit you up. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about that story and how it led you to seek out, next level growth or like the next thing?
Yeah. So I'm going to back us up a little bit, about 10 years behind first,
Yeah,
and
I
just
love
say
it.
that I have been a day hiker for literally a decade or so before I even ever did Kilimanjaro. And the idea of even doing like a multi-day trek, I don't even know if that ever crossed my mind, ever in my mind, or if it did, it was probably, I had a thought that I don't think that this would be for me, or I don't think
Yeah.
that I can handle this. And
Yeah.
so I just day trekked, and I got my start actually in the Yukon, which is a territory in northern Canada, right next door to Alaska. It's like a wilderness paradise, hiker paradise. And even when I moved back down south, I kept hiking because I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And then it was getting closer to my 40th birthday. And I wanted to do something big and bold and different. And
Yes.
this like trip came up in my world to climb Kilimanjaro. And I saw it and I'm like, yes, like I had this like full bodied, like, yes,
I
this is
love
it.
those
I'm like,
moments.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. Like I was completely naive for what I had signed up
Yeah.
for. But I was like, yes, like this is it. And then I went on this trip. It was one of the most difficult things I had ever done. And it was
Yeah.
also one of the most amazing things that I'd ever done. And I would have to say that after I finished that trip, I was like in a state of awe for
Yeah.
3 months.
I remember that. Like I remember talking to you like after that trip and being like, wow, she's like lit up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but like this portal opened up into so many possibilities for my life after that trip.
Yeah.
And then I started asking myself, I'm like, okay, if that created this in my life and these
Yeah.
feelings, and like what's next for me? Like how else can I grow?
Yeah.
And then I found you. I don't know how, if it was like through an ad or I was Googling something, but I found you and I signed up for a webinar because you had a webinar. It was like
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, this is like the worst time ever to be doing this because I should be going to bed, right? But I'm like, I was like compelled. I'm like, this might be it, right? And
Yeah.
so I watched your webinar. I signed up for a one-on-one call with you. And then there we go. I was in your program.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I don't think you, at least what I remember from talking with you last year, like you had really been in our world, like She Dreams of Alpine for very long. It's just like I feel like you were just like riding the current of like
Yes.
what had happened for you in Kilimanjaro, which is really beautiful. Like I've had experiences like that in my past too, where you're just like it like opens up this like new way of seeing yourself and you're like I want to like do more. I want to like explore that deeper and I want to just see what that is. And
Yeah.
yeah, you were definitely there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So, what made you, so obviously this experience was like a little bit different than Kilimanjaro. It was like a coaching program combined with like a backpacking trip. And you had mentioned beforehand that backpacking had not really crossed your mind. So what made you feel like backpacking was kind of like that next thing?
I'll back us back up to Kilimanjaro and what happened there.
Yeah, okay.
So on Kilimanjaro, you have porters, which basically means that there are people carrying the majority of your stuff that you need on the mountain. And we
Right.
just had to carry day packs. But because I was very new to all of this, I overloaded my day pack for the
Mhm.
first couple of days, which created a lot of tension. And then
Yes.
and then on day three, I got really sick because of the altitude, and then I couldn't even carry a bag. And so when I started exploring, like, what would I want to challenge myself with next? I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to carry everything, like, really carry everything. Because I literally carried my few things for like 2 days, and the rest of the trip, I didn't have a bag. And so
Right.
I'm like,
Which
what
is
if,
very like common for people who don't know Kilimanjaro. Like it's the common way to
yes,
do it. That's kind of how the porters get paid and like it's part of the tourism and stuff like that too.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, what if I could learn how to do this? I'm like, I
Yeah.
just climbed this like gigantic mountain. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could like figure out how to actually carry my stuff if maybe I train myself better for
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, backpacking is like the next best thing for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember that's like something that we talked about a lot on our one-on-one call is like kind of the fears around that. Like you had dealt with some maybe like neck and back worries and you were just like unsure if that was something that you would be able to handle. And I feel like I think the conversation we had there, I was like, if this is something that you want to explore, like this is a really good environment to do so, to like see if this is something you want to do more of. Can you maybe like walk us through what your hesitation was around that and more in particular?
I would say my biggest hesitation was thoughts in my head. Can I literally handle this?
Yeah.
Um, Based on really one experience.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right? One
That's what our brain
experience.
does that loves
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that. It's like, oh, this was horrible once. And
Yeah, yeah. But I would also say I do have some like aches and pains generally in my back and in my neck. So I was also a bit cautious because I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want to hurt myself, right? And I
Right.
don't want to make my body feel worse. And I want to keep having adventures now that I've discovered this amazing world of multi-day adventures.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. And I mean, like, I agree with that too. It's like we do want to approach things cautiously, especially if you have prior injuries. But I do feel in like most cases, there's kind of a way to work with everything that we've got going on in our lives. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about like your why. Like we talked a little bit about like what brought you to signing up to ARE, but I guess like when you were in that decision mode, how did you, I mean, I guess it was like for you, you tell me, like what was it like you just like a full body yes kind of moment again? You were like, I just know that I want to give this a shot and I want to explore this more deeper. Maybe walk me through that.
Was a full-bodied yes, like all over again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I had like one amazing experience. I got to listen to this. And I did. And so that's why I signed up. And I would also say that what I loved about what you offered in ARE, it
Yeah.
wasn't just an adventure, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many companies where you can sign up and have an adventure, right?
Right.
But I love the fact that you also had like it was essentially a 4-month program
Right.
where you learn more about this and how to prepare yourself in the supportive community.
Yeah.
Plus, we're also dealing with the mindset part of it and
Yes.
also applying it to our day-to-day lives. And so
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, when I was thinking about that program, I was like, well, like anybody can like put retreats and anybody can like do retreats. It's like I really want this experience to be something where you guys really feel like at the end of it, you can, like you were looking to do, like step more into that identity and feel more confident in like doing multi-night adventures, like really get that outdoor mentorship that you're looking for by the end of it. And then also pair it with like the work that I see is really parallel with yeah, like the stuff that like going out in Kilimanjaro, it's like that transformative. I've been like releasing an email series this week on aliveness, and that's kind of what you were just talking about. You like felt really alive on Kilimanjaro, and it's not because it was easy. It's like it had that grittiness, and then it was like you stepping into the version of yourself that completed that adventure was just like mind blowing in a way that like pulled you forward. So I love
I
experiences
resonate
like
with
that.
what you just said so
Yeah.
much. Like I have goosebumps because that's literally what it was. I felt
Yeah.
so alive and it actually was the moments when I was the most down
Yes.
that like created that opening for aliveness
Mm,
because it was like, okay, you're feeling really lousy on this mountain. How
right.
could you still enjoy this? Like I
Yeah.
literally had that question when I was so sick on day 3. I'm like, how can I still take in all of this? And it was
Yeah.
such a transformative experience for me.
Yeah. I love that. That's amazing. Okay. So with the Adventurous Reinvention Experience, was there something like when you joined, was there anything in particular you were hoping to get out of the experience by the end of it? Because that's kind of like a question I ask y'all when you join. I'm like, if you could wave a magic wand, like what's that look like by the end of our time together? Do you remember what you kind of were thinking back then?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. And for me, the big thing was, well, one, I wanted to challenge myself with being able to carry pack weight and becoming self-sufficient. So that
Right.
was the obvious one. But
Yeah.
the other piece was also just learning more about being in the outdoors
Right.
because I really didn't have a lot of skills. And as a lot of women that you work with, I
Yeah.
had a lot of fears about getting lost. What if I run into a bear? Like, how do I feed myself on the trail?
Right.
Like, what if I hurt myself? Like, all of the
Yeah.
usual stuff, right? And can I handle this, right? And so I wanted to learn more of that so that I could feel super confident when I go out into the outdoors.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because it's like you do have this background of like day hiking experience and you do have the Kilimanjaro experience. And I do think that's why me and you, we had a conversation about like, should you do the beginner group? Because for people who are listening, the Adventurous Reinvention Experience typically, don't hold me to this for all years, but like typically has like a beginner group and an intermediate group that you join as far as like which physical level of like challenge you want to have. And like you had quite a bit of like physical capacity for mileage. And so that's why we were like, I think you should push yourself to do the intermediate trip, even though you still were working on a lot of the backpacking skills. Do you remember feeling like any hesitation around which one to join?
I was leaning towards the intermediate trip, but
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about it first, just to
Yeah.
confirm that that was like the best option for me.
And
And it was.
I feel like it was. It was
It
a good
was.
fit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. We talked a little bit about, I'm looking at my notes. We talked a little bit about you being kind of nervous about carrying your gear. That was like a big fear for you. Was there a moment like during this experience, or maybe even shortly after signing up, where you were like, oh shit, like what did I just sign up for? Or did you have any of those oh shit moments like throughout the summer?
I definitely had that about a month and a half before our trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And it
always
had
feel like it
to,
comes like a month before or like a week before the trip where people start going, "Oh shit, what have I done?" Oh, I
that's
kind
what
of
I'm,
like remember what I think I know what you're going to say too. But you
and
go. I'm not going to spoil
it
it.
had to do with my backpack
Yes, it
again.
had to do with your backpack. I
It
remember
was my
this very.
backpack drama. And
Yes.
what I had done is I was initially training. I took training for this really seriously. Like I
Yeah.
was hardcore training,
Which
but
you need to do if you join the intermediate group trip. Like it's more miles, it's more elevation gain. Like want
yeah,
you guys to take it seriously. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, but I was training with my day pack. And one of the things I was doing, because I'm like, well, I want to be exact with how much weight I have in my packs, I
Yeah.
started putting actual weights, like dumbbells, into my bag. And I
Yes.
was like experiencing all of this pain in my body, which was like, I'm like, okay, I need to like figure this out. Maybe I need to rearrange my backpack differently. Like I was having all this drama about it. And then in one of the sessions, you're like, well, maybe it's time for you to actually get an actual backpack,
Yeah, because
which
I think
I
you had like
did.
30 pounds in there or something in your day
Some
pack.
something
Something
like
like
that,
that.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like it was too heavy for like because I think it's yeah. And so then I get a backpack, and then I have drama with my first backpack because I
Yeah.
experienced so much discomfort with it.
Yeah.
And so I return it, and I end up buying another one, which turned out to be a better fit for me.
Proud to be the one.
Yeah, but then because I'm like, oh my God, we're like month and a half away from the trip. Like I need to like ramp up my training. So then I'm like putting more in and I'm like training even harder than I should and I'm not resting enough. And
Mm.
then I'm like, I think I went on one hike and I came home and I felt like so lousy like in my body. And
Yeah.
that's when I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
Like that thought started creeping in. I'm like, I
Which
don't
we
know if I
all
can do
always we have those moments like all the time. Yeah. It's so
it. Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, when this happens, I know I need support. So I
Yeah.
jumped on a one-on-one call with you
Right.
and I'm like, this is what's happening. I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah.
And then you walked me through some suggestions
Mhm.
for sorting out my bag. You also reassured me, like, worst case scenario, if I
Right.
can't handle it, I could always not do the trip, or I could start the trip and get off the trip.
Right.
Um, and so that gave me like a sense of reassurance. I didn't want that to be my option, but
Yeah.
I'm like, somehow that like reassured me that there's options in case if let's say something happened, I like physically just couldn't do it, then at least I had the option.
Right. Yeah. And I knew like, because I knew your goal was to really just like give it a shot and see like how it would feel to like fully carry your weight. But then there was also a lot of anxiety around the like having too much pain in the backcountry. And it was something we were just like kind of learning and testing and like
Yeah.
yeah. So I remember, yeah, having to talk you off the ledge a little bit with that one. But there's a lot like for those of you listening, especially if you're new to backpacking, like if you're loading up a day pack with like a lot of weight, day packs aren't generally like some are, but generally aren't made to like hold that much weight where it's like not going to cause you pain in your neck and your shoulders and your back. And that's why we were talking about with Marta, like to like maybe just go ahead and get your actual pack and load it more similarly to like how you would on the trail. Cause also sometimes just throwing weights in a backpack, it's not like quite loaded in the way you would like a sleeping bag and then a bear can and then like the things on top. It like weights itself in a particular way. But yeah, um, there's I
Yeah.
one of the things I just like always want people to remember is like we're going to have a lot of fears and like hesitations that come up, especially like a month before, a week before, a couple weeks before. but like trust us in this process and like get support when you need to, which you definitely did. You were really good about that, Marta. But get support when you are like having those panic modes, and then also like keep making those forward steps because there are options. And usually people surprise themselves more often than not, like when they get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you
Yeah.
definitely weren't the only one who kind of had like panic moments like that. Like a lot of people, I remember actually, I don't remember if it was our intermediate group, but I remember in the beginner group trip, I was like, yeah, who's excited? And one girl goes, I almost didn't come because I almost talked myself out of it. And then like five other girls were like, I almost talked myself out of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you guys still came and didn't listen to like your brain on panic mode. And then they all ended up having an amazing trip. So our brains, man, they're like little
Yeah.
shit talkers
They
sometimes.
are.
Yeah. Okay, let's kind of like switch gears and like dive into the experience itself, kind of like the portion of the summer experience, leaning towards the coaching side. What was your experience like in the coaching part of the program? Was there like any part of that process that like stood out to you, or like lessons or mindset shifts that really stuck with you during this process?
There's one big one
Yeah.
that stood out for me at the time, and I have to say that I enjoyed the program so much that I'm actually redoing it on my own right now. So I can share with
Yeah.
you what's standing out for me
Oh,
today,
great.
going through it a second time.
Yeah.
So the first time when I was going through the materials, it was really about getting to a place of neutrality with
Yeah.
hardship.
Yeah.
Like you I at least I remember it's like that was a point that kept coming up, or at least every time you said it, like I was listening, I was leaning
Yeah.
in, and I'm like, oh, like neutrality with hard. Is that
Yeah. Like there's
possible?
a
Like,
place where when things are hard and it's not so much drama. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, that would be kind of cool to get to a place like that, right?
Yeah.
And so that then became also like one of my goals for the summer is like,
Yes.
can I achieve that, right? Can I
Yeah.
have experiences around that? So that was like a really big thing that stood out for me.
Yeah.
And then there was a second one. You had said something along the lines of um, in the mountains and like in life, it's like the same thing.
Right.
Like the
On Life and
mountains,
Mountains, it is the same. Yeah. That's the tattoo I
yes,
have on my arm.
yes, that's exactly it. And so that also really stood out for me
Right.
because
Yeah.
even like going back on my original, like my Kilimanjaro trip, um, that really stood out for me. Like when I was having like meltdowns on that mountain, I'm like, oh my
Right.
gosh, is this a reflection of how I am in my life? Like when things get hard, am I like breaking down like this? And I didn't
Yeah.
have that thought on the mountain. I had the thought afterwards, but I'm
Yeah.
like, sometimes that is a reflection of who I am. And it made me realize that I didn't like that reflection of who I was.
Mm.
And I
That's an
wanted to
interesting take of it. Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to like evolve myself so that that wasn't always the case.
I see. I love that. Yeah, like a lot of times when I think on life in the mountains, it is the same for me. It's a lot of like, a lot of times in life, like I'm arguing with reality being hard. Like I'll be, going through a challenge, like, with building your business or like, I don't know, any goal that you have. And you're almost like telling yourself it shouldn't be this way. But then if I remember like going back to the mountains, it's like you don't get like to the goal without like something being a little bit hard and
Yeah,
going through those uphills and having to carry the weight on your back. Like there's just so many things where I'm like, oh, the mountains have taught me that this is like a normal part of the process. But I love that like kind of one of the takeaways that you had about it is like using your experience on the mountain to kind of reflect how you like even process emotions, or maybe like how you show up to hard things, and using it as a way to like inspire yourself to be like, do I want to like keep showing up that way and in my day-to-day
yeah,
life too? I think that's really beautiful as well.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the neutrality and hardship, I think that is a powerful one. I think about that a lot. Yeah, especially as like applying it to life. Like I've really feel like I've gotten to a place where I can understand that in the outdoors. because you do it enough and you start to realize like, oh, this is like really actually part of what makes the adventure so exciting. A lot, we kind of were talking about it earlier, alive, like engaging is like this hard part that I'm going through. And that for me is a lot what makes it neutral. I'm like, okay, it's like hard, yeah, but it's like part of it. And that's where I kind of find my neutrality. I'm curious to know, like, now that we're kind of past that experience, did you get to experience that when we were on the trail, that neutrality in the hard
Good
part?
question. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh shit, did I? I mean, you did a great job. Like you did through the hard parts. I'm just curious if you noticed that in yourself. It's okay if you didn't, because I feel like it takes a long
Maybe
time.
a little bit
Yeah.
because this is what I remember. I had a really fantastic experience on the trip.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that made it really challenging. Like this was my heart that I faced. And prior to the trip, a few of the women and I, we had gone on a little road trip together.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had
You carpooled
suggested,
with a few people, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you had suggested that, there's like some local hikes in the area that we can do also to get us a little bit acclimatized
Climate.
for the altitude.
Yes.
And so we did one of those. And I was so excited and I was well fed and I had drank a lot of water and then I got like a pounding headache and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, not this all over again." And I had to lay down like while everyone was enjoying themselves and I was like laying
Mm,
down because I just didn't feel well. And I'm
right.
like, but I think I remember I'm like, "Okay, this is okay. Like this can happen, right?"
Yes.
And then we
And
had
that
our
was like
first
one of the reasons we told you to do those things is like, let's start to
yes.
build our like resilience with the altitude ahead of time before we embark on the trip. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. And so then our trip started. And the first night we were at the campground just getting acclimatized, so felt completely fine. Then
Yeah.
it's our first official day of walking. By the time we get to camp, I don't know if you realize this, but I was actually feeling extremely lousy, like
Mm,
super lousy, but I'm really good at
okay.
masking my pain.
Everyone was
Um,
feeling pretty lousy at the
okay.
end of that day too. That was a long day for everyone.
It was, but like my head was hurting. And then I remember like putting up my tent and then it started
Mm.
raining. And I'm like, well, this is just wonderful. I'm just going to go and lay down now in my tent.
I don't remember it raining. It didn't rain very hard or very long.
Maybe not for long, but it did rain. I
You're
remember I
thinking of
literally
the
put up,
day when we went up to that lake that we had all to ourselves, right?
no, it was the very first night after our first walk up the mountain. It was
Okay.
like one of the highest points we were at. I don't remember what lake that was.
Yeah. I'm forgetting off the
But it
top of my head.
rained. It was like one of the few days that it actually rained on the trip. And I
Yes.
literally put up my tent and then it started like pouring rain for like a short while, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
okay because I'm
But it's
like,
also like, you're like, can I just have a moment, please?
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, maybe that's when that piece around neutrality came to because I'm like, well, I feel lousy. My tent is up.
Right.
I can at least rest now. Like I won't want to be I will not want to do anything else anyway. And at least if it's raining, it forces me to rest. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this is all for the better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's a great example. Um, okay, let's since we're already like kind of in talking about the trip, let's talk about some more of your trail experiences. I mean, we talked about, I have written down like what was your biggest fear going into the actual trip? And I think it's the carrying the pack. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We talked about that one a lot. So what was it like for you to carry now that we're like, we talked about that was your fear. So what was it like for you when you actually did it on that trip?
It turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
I definitely had some moments where I was struggling with my pack, but part of it ended up being that I wasn't adjusting it
Right.
adequately.
I
And
remember
one of
like
the
we made some on-trail adjustments too.
Yeah, and one of the
Yeah.
guides is like, why is your pack like riding up like that? I'm like, I
Right.
don't know. That's how I thought I was supposed. She's like, no. And then she adjusted me, and then I'm like, oh, well, that feels much better, right?
Yeah. Like sometimes it's just the smallest adjustment or like pulling the straps where it's like not your pack isn't away from you or closer to you, depending on like the angle of the terrain too, that can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so once that happened, for the most part, I felt okay. Like there were still moments because naturally we are carrying weight. It's not something I do on a day-to-day basis, but
Right. Yeah.
overall, like overall I was okay. Like I made it through the trip and
Yeah.
I had a fantastic time.
Yeah. I felt like you got better with carrying your pack like each day as we went.
Yeah.
Um, how did you feel like, you were kind of new to backpacking, you weren't new to hiking, but like overall your confidence in your own skills and like getting out there and like being more self-sufficient and doing something like that again in the future? Like how did you feel by the end of that experience?
I felt really confident, like
Yeah.
really, really confident because
Good.
I spent time just chatting with you and the other guides just about like basic stuff,
Right.
foundational skills, just so that I could understand. And you were all very calm and explaining things and like, in ways that just reassured me that, you got this, right? You got this,
Yeah.
and showing me how to use the water bladders and, even digging up like a hole for your poop and like, really
Right.
seemingly like
They're the
obvious
things you
things,
need to learn,
right? But I've never done those things
Unless you want to
before, right?
hold it the whole time. Yeah,
Right.
what was it like in Kilimanjaro? Did they make you carry it out? Oh, they probably brought
They had
like
toilets.
yeah,
We had
okay.
toilets.
I
Yeah.
heard my friend tell me that once before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a little bit different of an experience there.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you consider the most challenging part of the trip for you? Was it that one story you already shared, or was it something else?
I I think it was definitely the backpack piece.
Yeah.
It was definitely a bit around the altitude and being affected by the altitude and
Yeah.
maybe coming to the realization that maybe I'm someone who is more sensitive to altitude.
Mm.
And because of that, I may just have to expect that that may happen in the
Give
future
yourself
again.
like more time, yeah, to
Yes, and sign
adapt.
up for trips where there is more time or arrive earlier so that I
Arrive
can
earlier,
have
yeah.
more time. Yeah.
Yeah, did you have altitude sickness like the whole time or just the first
No,
day or so?
no, just the first day. And then
Okay.
after that, because I was worried, because like right before the trip, I felt sick. Then the first day of hiking, I felt sick. And
Right.
I'm like, this is not a great start to this,
Yeah,
right? But then it all cleared up and I was
that's good.
completely fine afterwards. Yeah. So my body
That's I
adjusted.
usually feel like most people will feel something a little bit their first day. I usually isn't too tough, but usually people that first night is like still a little bit getting used to it, even if you've adapted a couple days in.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you weren't. I was like, I don't remember you being altitude or anybody being altitude sick most of the trip. Um,
No, I don't think so either. Or at least nobody was saying if they were.
yeah. So, okay, what was your favorite moment of the backpacking experience, if you can remember,
Mhm.
and if you can narrow it down? I had a lot of favorite moments.
Oh, I did too. One of the one that stands out for me was actually some feedback that I got from the women.
Mm,
And
do
and
tell if
it,
you feel like
and
it.
like maybe 10 years ago, and maybe like 10 years ago, if someone had said that to me, I probably would have rolled my eyes and been like, oh, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But then you hear it from one woman, and then you hear it from another, and then you hear it from a third, and it's like, okay, this has to be true, right? Like these are
Okay.
people I don't barely even know, right? And they're saying this. And so a number of women said that I was really funny.
You
And
are funny, Marta.
well, thank you. I'm able to receive that now. But I
Yes.
was really like, that really took me aback
Yeah.
because it's not like I was trying to be funny at all, right? And then one woman's like, that's why you're funny, because you're not even trying and you just like something spews out of your mouth, right? And then it just makes everyone laugh.
Yeah, you just had a great energy. I mean, the whole group we got on, we had a good dynamic, and I just think
Yeah,
like you were definitely one of the people that brought a good dynamic and fun to the group. Yeah, even if you didn't realize it, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
And so that really stayed with me after the trip.
Yeah, you're like, I am a woman that is funny in the
Yeah,
world.
and brings joy, right?
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. So, okay, you talked about like meeting up with some of the ladies beforehand. I guess like one of the nice thing or one of the things that I like, I'm like this is me tooting my own horn. One of the things that I like about my program, but I like that you guys get to meet each other before, like maybe not in person, but you guys, some of you get to know each other quite a bit because we're doing this coaching part of the program before
Yeah.
we even like meet each other in real life. So I think I would really enjoy experience like that. I'm like, oh, I know Marta, like I know, Jen, or I know like these people beforehand. How did you feel like going into that? I'm like trying to figure out my question. How did the group community like impact your experience? How was the dynamic like that experience of meeting a bunch of women that you didn't really know beforehand, but kind of like got to know beforehand?
Yeah, yeah. In some ways, it was a bit of a risk because,
Yeah.
like, I didn't know
Who
these. Like, I knew
knows?
them virtually, but I didn't really know them, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly.
and so, but I figured this would be such a great way to get to know some women a little
Yeah.
bit more in preparation for the big trip. And we had like it was like a fantastic dynamic between the four of us. Like we had
Yeah.
so much fun, so much laughter, so much joy. We did a little bit in Las Vegas. We went through Death Valley where it was like scorching hot, like it was like extreme heat, and
Yeah.
but we had
Yeah, the
so much
summer in
fun.
Death Valley is very
Yeah.
hot. But it's kind of cool because you can go to the low point of the US if you want and then see the high point. Y'all didn't go to Whitney this trip, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so we just had so much fun and we made the best of it despite the heat. We literally woke up at like 5 a.m. in the morning so
Yeah.
that we can go out onto the salt flats.
Yeah.
And I got this fun idea where I'm like, let's do a photo where we're jumping in the air.
Mhm.
And so we tried and we tried and we tried, and one of us was always off. And then eventually someone came up with the idea. They're like, why don't we just video this and then take a still shot of the video?
Smart. You were a funny group of ladies and you were a smart group of ladies.
Yeah. So we had lots of fun on that trip in preparation for the main trip.
Yeah. I love that. Like, I mean, we like tell everyone if you guys want to do carpool, it just makes it nice and logistic for some people, but it's nice when
Yeah.
you guys get to connect and like meet each other a little bit too in real life beforehand.
Yeah, I
Um,
recommend it. I
yeah.
absolutely recommended that for whoever signs up for your next round, that if
Yeah.
you have the time, it's so worth it.
Yeah. And it's like, it just is a testament to like, I know so many people probably can relate to like, I don't know if you see yourself as a little bit more outgoing, Marta. I get the impression that you might be a little bit more outgoing than some people, but
Yes.
like, I know some ladies are very like more shy, maybe more like me, where sometimes we can be like, I'm just gonna be like I'm kind of nervous about signing up for this group trip, like what's kind of questioning what the dynamic will be like and
Yeah.
questioning like I don't know, looking out of place or looking silly. I know a lot of people worry about being like the slow one in the group or holding the group back, but I don't know, really want to encourage people to like not listen to those fears and like kind of risk it because it really usually benefits people to open up and meet and like go on the like join the group that's going beforehand and like really open up to some of those insecurities because you
Yeah.
might just meet like a really amazing group of
Yeah.
women that you connect with.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's like go to the place where we've finished the backpacking trip. Like how did you feel at the end of that experience
I
of
felt
that?
really empowered.
Yeah.
Empowered. Like that's the word. I was like, woo, I did this, right?
Yeah.
Like it felt like victorious, such a great feeling.
I feel like I do remember asking you, I always like joke with my clients, like, don't judge a trip until like a week after, like don't fully judge it. Cause I was like, you kind of need time to process it. Cause
Yeah.
sometimes it's like really hard and you're like, whoa, that was really hard. Generally, I feel like most of y'all come out of it really proud, but I think I remember asking you, Marta, do you think you'll do more backpacking trips because of the whole carrying your gear piece and that being kind of one of your biggest
Yeah.
challenges? Um, have you done more backpacking trips or have you considered doing more? Like, where are you at with that?
I haven't done any since,
Yeah.
but I may have one coming up this spring, like a
So
short
you're
one.
open to the possibility
I
of
am open to the
doing more.
possibility, and because I've joined like a local outdoor club here, I'm also considering leading maybe like a mini outdoor, like a backpacking trip where we
Yeah,
camp for one night somewhere.
I love that. Yeah, and I always think that's like such a good idea for people too, especially like and leading your own trip is like its own thing. So it's like practicing those skills in a like not so big commitment scenario is nice too for you as like the person who's maybe taking other people. I don't know if those
Yeah.
other people have experience or not, but
Some
you,
do, some don't. And so
yeah,
you really need to be solid as the person who
right.
knows what they're doing as the leader, right? So
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that you're going to do that. Okay. What surprised you? This is maybe a big question, but what surprised you the most about this whole experience?
I think what surprised me, especially on the in-person component of the trip, like the actual like adventure part,
Yeah.
is like my authenticity. Like I
Mm,
felt so comfortable, and maybe that's why I was able to be funny. That's why I
yeah.
was able to bring joy. Like I think because I didn't necessarily feel that way when I did Kilimanjaro. And maybe it's because
Interesting.
I was also feeling unwell half of the time, and so that contributes to it.
Yeah, I could
But
see
I
that.
just felt like I could just fully be myself on this trip,
Yeah.
and that was like such a great feeling.
Yeah. I love that. I
Yeah.
feel like I got that vibe from you too. I just like remember us all being like going for an alpine dip that one day, what, like Rocky Basin
Yeah.
area. Everyone was just like so fully themselves, like just very relaxed and like, I don't know. That whole part of the trip, I think like everyone really opened up and like
Yeah.
started leaning more into themselves and like sharing more with each other. And I don't know. That was
Yeah,
a
I
really
agree.
special part of the trip.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Let's dig into life after the Adventurous Reinvention Experience.
Sure.
And I know it's been a while since like we've caught up and you're not as much on the social media, so haven't really been able to like peek at like what you've been doing. So since finishing the program, like what kind of shifts have you seen in some of your confidence in like maybe life or on the trail or both? Anything that has stood out to you?
So as I mentioned, I joined a local outdoor club after I came back.
Yeah.
And I felt compelled to want to lead. I didn't just want to, like, it felt like that was maybe my next level right after, directly after that. I'm
Yeah,
like, I
I
don't
love
just
that.
want to, like, go on hikes with people. I want
Right.
to lead the hike and take on that leadership role. And so I
Yeah.
ended up hosting a couple of weekends where people ended up staying at my place for like an overnight because I live in a rural area.
Yeah.
But then we did like big day hikes during the day. And twice we did it, and everyone like, I loved it, and people seem to really enjoy it. And I'm planning to
Yeah.
do more of those coming up in this season. So I'm really excited about that. Um, I would say, especially when I was leading those, I noticed that I felt so confident.
That's
So
good.
confident that actually somebody on the trip, they're like, you seem really sure of yourself. I'm like,
Yeah, you're like,
I'm like,
I feel like this is
I
a
do.
good quality for me to have.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm like, yes, I do feel confident and I feel like I know myself and I know what I
Yeah.
don't know. And
Yeah.
I'm okay even admitting that I actually don't know this and I'll seek out the support or the resources if I need help around something.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a huge confidence and even just around the skills that you taught us around like planning, around safety, around
Right.
like making sure we have the right gear, like things that I never really thought about before because it didn't really matter as much in the past
Yeah.
for some of the day hiking I did. But when you start being responsible for other people, those things start to really, really matter. Or if you're
Right.
doing like overnights with people.
Yeah, and they matter when you're on your own too, but it's like
Yes.
sometimes when we're like when we're like more of a participant or like going with a group, we're not ever taught like the things we need to be like thinking through and most of the time it works out for people, but that's kind of like where you could get yourself in a pickle if it like something did go wrong and you didn't quite know what to do. I love that like I don't know. I love that you mentioned that your next level growth was kind of like stepping more into that leadership role because I could really see that for you. You like having that Kilimanjaro experience and then like wanting to get into backpacking. And I just feel like in order to like keep following that energy and that current, it requires like a I want to be a leader. And it doesn't
Yes.
mean all the time and you have to do it all the time, but it's like now you're not waiting on other people to kind of like make things happen. Like you can make this
Yes.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because like outdoor club locally often did hikes in one specific park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to hike there. There's so many more areas to hike like around
Right.
here. And so I'm like, come out to my world. And people are like,
Yes.
wow, it's so beautiful here, right? And I'm
Like, what
like,
is
see?
this world? I've never been here.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really awesome. I'm happy to see you like stepping into that.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
that was one of the things that emerged.
Hmm.
And I've actually signed up for a really big trip this summer.
Mm.
Like this is after I started doing a little bit of leadership stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I really enjoy this. And then I'm like, okay, well then what's next? And
Yeah.
I spent so much time researching and what I wanted to do because there's so many amazing like hikes and backpacking
Opportunities
and
out there.
multi-day, right, that you can do. But like nothing was exciting me because I was looking for like that big, like resonant yes in my
Right.
body.
You're like, what's going
And
to push me like to grow, be that like full body experience that I want, like be a little bit of
yes.
on the edge of your comfort zone, sort of.
Oh, I'll be on the edge of this on my comfort zone on this trip.
Yeah,
And I have goosebumps. I have
you're like
goosebumps just
making us
talking
wait
about it.
for it.
So
Is it not?
I this summer I am flying to Pakistan.
Hmm.
I've never been to Asia before, so this is like a big deal just on itself, new
Yeah.
continent for me. And I am going to be doing the K2 base camp. And for people who don't know, K2
Yes.
is the second tallest mountain in the world after Everest.
It's like one of
And
the most dangerous ones, right? Too.
yes, yes, as a mountain.
If
So I'm
you were
not
doing the summit, if
quitting.
you were doing the
Yeah, I'm
summit. Yeah.
quitting. Yeah. But I'm walking to the base camp and it's a challenge
Yeah.
because this is like a
Much
2 week
higher
trek.
mountains.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost equivalent to Kilimanjaro. So it's a high altitude trek again.
Yeah.
And part of it is I'm going to be trekking in like extreme heat to start, which that's a
Hmm.
challenge for me to start already.
Yeah.
But then we're
Same,
going to be
honestly.
trekking on one of the biggest glaciers in the world, which that in itself is like new for me.
Oh, that's
And
cool. So
then
you're going to do some like glacier travel. Are you going to have to do rope teams or do you know?
not necessarily for that part because I
Okay.
think it's safe enough, but
Yeah.
I've also signed up to cross over a pass.
Mm.
And that's the first time where we're going to do like a bit of technical skill where I have to buy a harness and I'm going to be roped up to a fixed line. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. We're going to be doing it at night as these things usually go, which
Yeah.
makes me nervous but excited.
Yeah.
And it's a bit technical and it's going to be the hardest night. But I'm like excited because like this is it. Like it, like when I think about it, it just like lights me up. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. And there's a part on this hike where you actually get to see like four of the tallest mountains in the world,
Yeah.
like in
Man,
one
that's gonna
spot.
be epic. Yeah. I've always thought
Yes.
about just like going out to like the Himalayas and just like being surrounded by some of the tallest mountains in the world just is probably an epic
Yeah.
experience in itself, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
That's
I'm
really
so stoked.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say your program like led me down that path to want to challenge myself to that next level.
Right. And I think like, and just a testament to you, I just think like something I would point out that you're like obviously really good at doing, whether you realize it or not, is kind of like listening to that like curiosity that you have and not really like saying, oh, I couldn't do it, but you're listening more to the part of you that's like full body yes, that's like, I don't care like if I'm really not ready for it, but like I just know I need to like try.
Yes.
So I think you should give yourself a lot of credit too, because a lot of people struggle with that. Like they have that full body yes, but then they also are more listening to the like fear side. That's kind of like why you couldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you've given yourself a lot of proof that like that's
I
a
can do it.
voice. Yeah, that you should
And it's
like
a
pay
voice I
attention
can
to.
trust. I can
Like,
trust that voice that we're gonna figure this out and it's gonna be okay.
right.
Um,
And it's going to be scary, but that's like part of it. And
yes.
like, I might not know all the answers. Like when you signed up for Air Eats, like I don't quite know how the whole backpacking carrying it is going to go for me, but like
Yeah.
I want to see. I want
Yeah.
to like, pardon my French, fuck around and find out. Like I want to like
Yes.
see what I'm capable of, right? Yeah. I love that. You do a really good job of doing that. And I think like
Well,
you
thank
should
you.
keep doing it because I think it will be really cool to hear like where you are a few years from now too if you keep following that. Okay. So let's see. I lost my point in some of my questions. We talked about we talked about you leading some of your own outdoor experiences. That's really awesome. Um, how else, like besides kind of like following your curiosity and like growing yourself as like somebody in the outdoors, have you seen this experience or like some of the lessons or takeaways that you've gotten from this experience kind of ripple into other areas of your life or goals that you have going forward?
I'm actually going to circle back to another question you asked me earlier,
Okay.
and so I
Yeah.
can finish the answer.
Oh,
And it
sorry.
was
I skipped
around,
ahead. I got like
that's okay.
sidetracked with your Pakistan
The,
trip.
yeah, it was around the coaching experience of it
Mm.
because I am actually going through your program a second time on my
Yes.
own.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really is standing out for me is the piece around identity,
Oh, yeah.
right? And like
Which is like a
how,
big part of like something we talk about in the program is like really getting clear on how we identify.
yes, yes. And like, who am I?
Yeah.
Right? Like, who am I? And I've been playing a lot with like this identity of like, well, am I an athlete? Right? To do
Yes.
these things,
I
right? And
love
I'm like,
that.
I am
Yeah.
an athlete, right? So
Right.
that's one of the things, but putting like the sports stuff aside, I think the other big identity that's coming for me is like, I'm a leader.
Yeah.
I'm a leader and I want to lead in other ways. And
Right.
so recently, a coach of mine that I used to work with paired me up or introduced me to somebody else, and we hit it off really well. And
Yeah.
together, we're actually co-creating a retreat for the fall,
I love
which will
it.
have like a little bit of a outdoor component because it's set on a lake on a
And
beautiful
it's like,
property,
why
but it's
not? Like, it's the best.
yeah. Yes, yes. And like to help people go through like transformational
Yeah.
experiences. Like it's one of those calls I felt in my heart for a long time,
I love it.
but I haven't done it. And then I've been introduced to this other person who wants to do the same. And I'm like,
Right. Isn't
let's
it
do this.
interesting how like sometimes when we like you like following your curiosity with like goals that you have in the outdoors might just seem like very like one laned, but it's interesting when you are like listening to the voice of like this is something I'm interested. This is a full body yes, like even if I'm a little scared, how it also kind of like opens you up to possibilities in other areas of your life because you start kind of listening to that side of yourself more than you start
Yes.
listening to the side of yourself that's like, I don't know if that's for me or like I've never identified that way or like who am I to do that or something like that. So I think that's
Yeah.
really neat that it's
Yeah.
also taking you that direction. And then like people like pop, it seems like people can pop into our life kind of out of nowhere, like that it's like a perfect alignment of
Yeah.
what you were looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. And similar to you, but I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
I've always had a desire to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And to step into that. And
Yeah.
so maybe in some ways I'm dabbling in it a little bit
Next
with this
level work,
retreat.
baby.
Yes, yes. And like I do run a business with my partner,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I remember you
that's
telling
like
me that.
our thing together and it's really his thing in theory. And so and in practice. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, I want something that's my own, where I'm making my own contribution and leading the world.
Yeah.
And so who knows where this is all going to take me. And maybe
Yeah.
next year when we reconnect, I'll be like, I did it.
I'm doing
I run
it.
my own business, right?
I love it. Yeah. I just love how like you're so open to what that next thing might be for you. And even if you don't have like the answers to it
Yeah.
yet, you're kind of like following that next step, which is kind of what we have to do in these moments is be like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but like I do know that I really would like to try running this retreat with this lady, see how it goes. Like maybe that is going to open up like the doors to me understanding like what that next thing is for me in whatever way that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Let's maybe like wrap this up a bit with a few fun rapid fire questions. I just think it'd be kind of interesting for people to like learn a little bit about you in like some fun ways. So, what is your go-to trail snack?
I really like RX bars. It's like a protein bar
Yeah,
made out
I
of
know an
dates. I
RX
really
bar.
like those.
I have to
Yeah.
say, I'm like not the biggest fan of RX bars, but I know people that love them really love them.
The only issue with them is when you're in cold, they become like rock
They're
solid.
very
So
hard,
they're
yes.
not great for that.
Maybe you
But
sleep with them so that they stay warm at night
yes.
when, like just
Yeah.
like you do with your batteries. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite flavor or you like
I
them
think
all?
I I think I like them all, but I think I really like the black one. I think it's like salted chocolate or
Mm.
something like that. That one
Yeah, I
I
was
really
like, the
like.
people may want to know if they want to try. One cool thing about RX bars is like I love how the ingredients are like super simple and you know
Yes.
exactly like that's very appealing to me.
Yeah.
So I see the attraction. Okay, we kind of know what's on your adventure bucket list, but is there anything else besides like the fun trip that's coming up in Pakistan? Um,
Yes. I'm
okay,
already like thinking even further ahead and maybe taking a bit of an extended leave early next year.
like a little
And I'm
sabbatical.
Yes, for maybe a month or two.
Okay.
And I'm looking at maybe climbing the volcanoes in Ecuador. So I want to do like another
Ooh.
high altitude, either that or maybe something in Nepal, but that would have to be a little bit later in their spring season.
For
And
someone who
I'm,
doesn't like altitude, you are like an high altitude seeker. I
yes,
love
I
it.
want to just challenge myself. And
What's
that,
the Rumi quote? It's like go where you fear to go or something. Wait, do I have it written down in my journal? All right. Anyways, I'll think of it later. I think it's like go where you fear or something. That's what you're doing. I love it.
yes, and it definitely scares me because this would actually take me over 20,000 feet if I can make it.
Yeah.
So like that would be the highest point.
Highest.
Yeah. And a non-altitude destination that I'd like to do maybe at the same time
Yeah.
is I'd really love to hike in Patagonia.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's
I mean,
just like epic.
that can be high altitude too, but you're
Yes.
probably saying like you won't go to a peak.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard really good things. We actually just had one of our clients that did like one of the W track or something
Yes. Yeah.
down there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
looks amazing. Okay, now that you are a backpacker, what is your favorite piece of gear that you can't live without?
I was thinking about that, and I'm still not even sure if I have a favorite piece of
What
gear.
about for your day hikes? Because you've done more of those. To like have an opinion on like your favorite piece of gear.
Yeah. I think I really like having gaiters. Because of
Interesting.
where, and also I think because of where I live, it
Yeah.
can get like, especially in the spring, there's such a like mess on the trails, and I
Yeah.
still want to be able to hike. So I love how they just like protect your shoes, they protect your pants, you're less messy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that answer. I would never have guessed, but I like that. It makes sense. Like I always think sometimes when I go into sandy places or like really muddy, I'm like, it would be really awesome to have brought gators. And I usually
yeah.
don't. I just like usually leave them. But I'm always thinking about that, especially if I get lots of rocks in my shoes. Okay, what is one place that you would happily visit over and over and over again?
I would say there's a place in the Yukon that I would go over and over again, and
That's where
it's
you used
called
to live, right?
Yes, that's where I used to live. It's next door to Alaska. And Alaska and the Yukon, I'd probably visit over and over because they're both just like amazing.
Yeah.
So if anyone's ever not been, definitely put it on your bucket list.
I mean, me,
And
I need
es
to go.
and especially put Tombstone Territorial Park on your bucket
Mm,
list. It's like
okay.
epic, it's rugged, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll look that up after this. Okay, what is your favorite way to celebrate after a big adventure?
I really like to sit in contemplation, actually.
Ah, nice. Some
Like,
quiet
like,
reflection
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like maybe immediately after, especially with if I'm with a group of people, I like to go for
right.
dinner, and do like a celebratory piece. But then
Yes.
afterwards, my own celebration is like really reflecting on like what did I get out of this trip? What am I learning
Yeah.
here? And what's next for me because of this? And who have I become in the process of this trip?
Yeah. Did you feel like you got to give that to yourself after ARE or ARE is kind of like the shorthand we all call the Adventurous Reinvention Experience. I didn't realize I ever said that before, but did you feel like that? You
I
had that
did.
time?
I did. And I even like booked a call with my coach. I think one or two
Mm.
calls so that I could just like reflect in someone else's presence and
Yeah.
also have
Like
reflections
process.
back to me about what I'm saying, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm saying things but not realizing what I'm actually saying, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
I love to do that. And like sometimes I think that's a piece a lot of us miss out of a trip is like we're trying to like we're so focused on getting to the trip and getting there and like having the experience. And then after the experience, it's like, whoa, it's like it was a lot, or there's like things we want to take away from it, but like sometimes we immediately go back to our busy lives and it's hard to like
Yeah.
fully process it. So I feel like that's such a like gift to give yourself is like a little bit
Yes.
of extra time to kind of think through what it meant to you and like how you want to take it forward because like on Life in Mountains it is the same, like how can we like take
Yeah.
some of the lessons that we took from the mountains and like put them in our life and like take that energy forward.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, let's end with a few just kind of like closing thoughts. If you were to recommend the Adventurous Reinvention Experience to somebody, like who do you think would be a good fit for this experience?
A good fit, someone who definitely wants to learn like outdoor skills
Mhm.
and just backpacking. Like even if you have no experience at all, like this is such a beautiful program to learn from scratch in a supportive community with amazing guides and teachers. So definitely for people who don't have a lot of experience, but also even if you have some experience, like I came in with some experience,
Yeah,
like there's always another level of growth. There's always another layer of learning to be had.
right.
And and even if you think you know it all, which you likely don't, because nobody does, it's such a beautiful community to tap into. Like you just meet other women who are wanting to be in the outdoors. And that in itself is also really precious because sometimes it's hard to meet people, especially as adults. I find it's like harder and harder to meet people, especially things that we're interested in. And if you could
Right.
just tap into a pre-built community already, like
Yeah.
why not?
And it's like you never know, like when putting yourself in the way of like meeting new people and like being in an experience, like what that might open up to you,
Yeah.
or who you might meet that might like become a lifelong friend. That's like always really, that's something I think about anytime I sign up for an experience. It's like, I'm just so excited to like see on the other side, like what I take away from this and like who I connect with because like connecting with people is like part of the big allure of like joining group trips and
Yeah.
group adventures, I think. Yeah, and a lot of people kind of like what you were saying earlier, a lot of people, do ask when they're joining this experience, like, do you need a lot of backpacking experience? And you definitely don't. Like, even if you're
Oh,
joining the intermediate group level is really more about like whether you pick that trip or the beginner trip. It's like we would talk more about like physical, like do you feel like like you can prepare for that adventure and feel like good about it, or should you like if it feels like a lot and you really want to just focus and have fun and like it just depends on what adventure and like out of your comfort zone-ness you're looking to take from it. And so that's where sometimes it's useful to have a conversation. So if ever anybody's considering like one trip or the other and it's on the fence, like that's something that like Marta and I discussed because she was new to backpacking and we just talked about like would you be a better fit for this or like what she was looking to gain from
yeah.
that experience. Um so what would you say to somebody who feels stuck or unsure if a program like the Adventurous Reinvention Experience is for them?
I would probably want to know, like, what does somebody want?
Yeah,
Like, what do you actually want to gain? And if you know what that is, like, what's then the block to getting that? And like getting support around it, which is why I love that you offer like one-on-one calls
yeah,
before you even sign up if you need that, so that you can actually work through that.
right,
Because we all get stuck. We all get blocked from time to time. And that's when, if we don't get support and if we don't work through it ourselves, then sometimes we miss out on amazing opportunities. So I
right.
would say if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling unsure, reach out to Allison and her team, get on a call,
Yeah.
talk through whatever's going on for you, because there was stuff going on for me, as you heard.
Right, yeah,
And then make a decision from a more empowered place where you have more answers. You may not always have all the answers because you won't, But
Right.
if you at least have a few more answers, then that may be enough to be like, okay, I'm now ready to sign up for this. And that's what it was for me.
Yeah, or not. And it's like I'm always willing to like have a conversation with somebody and let you know if I think like it's a good fit or not a good fit. And it's really just like I just know that so many of us have like that kind of part of our brain that's like telling us all the reasons that we can't. So we can like just talk through some of those. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's like if you're feeling unsure, reach out. If you are like also feeling called but also feeling unsure, that's a very normal place to be. And we can have those kinds of conversations, like either in the email inbox or like on a one-on-one call like we did with Marta.
Yeah.
So okay. This was amazing, Marta. Thank you so much. If I know that you're not like a big social media gal, but I did ask you beforehand if anybody wanted to connect with you or maybe like reach out to you, maybe they like resonated with your story. Where could they maybe connect with you? What's a good place?
Like you said, I'm pretty quiet on social media right now. But that being said, if anyone did want to like DM me either on Instagram or Facebook or even on LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn's the one where I've been a little bit more active in the last
Okay.
like year. Um, then I'm happy. I'm happy to have a conversation and connect with anybody.
Okay. And we'll maybe like put Marta's handle in the show notes. And if you're like interested to reach out to Marta, then we can do that. Or, if Marta prefers, like y'all reach out to me at support@shedreamsofalpine.com and then I forward you the information, we could do that. But I just want to just thank you again for like taking the time to be here to share a little bit more about like your story, your experience with the program. I think it's really helpful for people to kind of understand people's thought process going into it and then like also hear about their experience inside the program because it is like a big decision for joining us because we're working together all summer. And there's a lot of like fears and insecurities and stuff involved when making a choice to join like a group adventure as well. So I really, really appreciate you, Marta, and it was really good to catch up with you.
It was so great to connect with you again, Allison, and it's been my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much, Marta. We'll talk soon. Hey, I wanted to thank you real quick for tuning into the show and listening all the way to the end. If you love this episode and you want deeper support in becoming a safe, confident, and self-sufficient hiker and backpacker, then head over to shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist to learn more about our Backpacking Badass coaching program, where I teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be self-reliant on the trails and stop waiting around on others for the adventure invite. So I'd love to help you more in your journey of stepping into your adventurous identity, and that program is the absolute best place for us to start working together. So again, that's shedreamsofalpine.com/waitlist, and you can learn all about it there. So that's it for today, folks. I hope you get to spend some time outside this week, and I'll be back very soon with a brand new episode. Bye.